We're going to take some of your phone calls. Mike, Robert, Mandy, Rick in the Bahamas, who disagrees. We'll go to him first, and then Brian in Montreal. Before this show ends, we'll take your calls. I wanted to show you this. National Reconnaissance Office, United States of America. We got sent from the address saying, you know, not all of us are asleep. Death and New World Order, long live the Republic. A Defense Intelligence Agency patch mailed from the Defense Intelligence Agency with nothing else on it. This one here says National Reconnaissance Office, United States of America. On the back, it says Central Intelligence Agency, nowhere to hide. Yeah, well, there's nowhere to hide when you violate the Bill of Rights and Constitution and help the government ship the narcotics in and interdict people that don't pay their cut. There's nowhere to hide from God for the crimes that you've been committing. Oh, yeah, I guess we need headphones to be able to take calls with you guys. That's a good point. I should have thought of that earlier. We're getting them hooked up. Good job, guys. You know, for 3 days, I've been meaning to play this clip as just an example of how they've got people into false reality and into simulations, not just sports, and all these mass video games where millions of people, sometimes millions, sometimes hundreds of thousands, and one of them is called Eve, and it's some intergalactic battle deal with humans from different corporations fighting each other. And on this front page of the site, I saw the ad on YouTube, it said, your life will matter. You actually affect this universe. The things you do as one lone person of 300,000 playing, your life will matter. So see, they know that people want to have worth, want to do right, want to matter, so they get you to join Homeland Security as a spy, or they get you to think the Little League's important when the whole country's going down, or they get you involved in all these other petty things, or these fake tribes like sports. That's the control system. But Franchi, you were making a point about the media and the culture.
Well, it's all a psyop game. They plant these seeds into your subconscious. So like as William mentioned, when you bring it up in public, it's easy to discredit, but it also in your mind, you've already heard it. You've heard it somewhere before, and
you're comfortable with it.
Comfortable with it. You've been
acclimated.
Desensitized is the word. Yes.
Gallighted. You had the ground prepared. I mean, I watched Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
I saw that last night.
You saw it last, and the whole thing is torture's good, tasering's good, burning people's eyes out to get answers is good, the military's perfect, you're being face scanned for your own safety, total surveillance is good,
Other than that movie's a total waste of time, man.
Well, when I saw the movie, there was a character in the film who had this huge computer set
The conspiracy theorists are crazy and bad.
I'm like, wow, those sounds
But the good guy tells them to lie for America.
Right. When that conspiracy theorist was talking, I'm like, wow, he's saying a lot of things I've said before, you know.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a lot of Transformers transforming from a car back into a Transformer, back into whatever. And, I mean, most of the movie is nothing but special effects. There's very little, there's no relationship.
But it's not bad when you're jogging.
There was in the film.
If I try to jog, like down the street, I can go like a mile. But if I put on a movie and get into it, I can get 3 miles, 4 miles in. Kind of walk the last 10.
Wow.
The problem is, no matter what I watch, it's all propaganda. Then I can go pull it up and, oh, here's a Defense Department grant. I mean, they admit now it's fake news.
Well, you know, it's not necessarily always the CIA or some government agency.
No, but big productions are.
Yeah, I do agree with you on some of those, but I think it's just so ingrained in our culture. This is what we're being prepared for. This is what people are thinking about. It's on their minds. It's in their conscience, and they're writing about it.
Sure, we're driving that by exposing it, and I've talked to a lot of directors, but they may have 4 or 5 top stars in their film, and the film costs $9 million, and they make $15 million, and it should be a big hit. And I've talked to Richard Linklater. He's making A Scanner Darkly with Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, Woody Harrelson, a bunch of other people in it. I'm in it. I consulted on it. And he had final cut, but they went like $500,000 over. So then that was Warner Brothers came in and said, okay, you're going to cut all these scenes. You're going to cut where the cop blows the guy's head off. That's anti-law enforcement. Now, let me tell you, and Linklater fought him and kept it in because it was in the book. But the point is there is control. There is control. I know people in Hollywood. There is, if I could tell you the behind the, okay, I knew when we were going to make Loose Change Final Cut with Charlie Sheen that Mark Cuban was going to put it out in theaters nationwide, and he got threats. And that other people's families, a general who is the brother of a producer's wife called up and said, your kids can get killed doing this. You better not do it. Okay? Now, I was asked, shut up about that, until it was in the news that the White House had the Securities and Exchange Commission call up Mark Cuban, and they also sent an email and said, we're going to destroy you for this. So he dropped out of it. They still indicted him. And then it came out he was indicted for no reason, so the court case just got beaten 2 months ago. This is now admitted. And so when the New York Times comes out and writes about it, they're just threatening everyone. But I agree with you. A lot of it isn't controlled. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't necessarily trying to get off on that tangent. I was just making the point that it is so already ingrained in our culture and in our conscience that those are the types of things we want to see. Those are the types of things that people just write about, and we're for whatever reason drawn to those things. It's not that they're necessarily accurate or true, but I think we're fascinated with the end times and some of these technologies
and our own destruction.
Yeah, exactly, for whatever reason.
Okay, I want to go to phone calls and a few other items, but will you guys bring me that Eve YouTube clip in? I printed this up. I linked from a YouTube ad to this, but then YouTube itself has the video. It's called The Butterfly Effect. Thank you, Jaron. And when you click through to the Eve site, it says, your life will now matter. You're going to be important. This is where you fight. This is where you're a man. 300,000 people. And so you have people paying in the real world with these simulation games, $50,000 for a Ferrari in the game to buy it from somebody because there's only so many Ferraris in the imaginary world. And they're actually getting real dates in the real world out of this. They're training you to be inserted into the Matrix.
What people don't realize is that, okay, by playing these games, you are projecting some type of desire to be needed or have that value. When
there's a real fight in the real world, you're needed right now. This is the real world.
Here, you have worth now in the real world. You don't got to play a game. This is
exactly. Listen, the social engineers, I read documents from universities in the 60s. In fact, in the extras of Endgame, on the Endgame 1.5, that's for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, Dr. Michael Kaufman, the PhD, reads documents from universities saying, we're going to have complex computer games. We're going to have drugs. We're going to have like a Soma drug, Prozac. Everyone will it will be sports. We're going to build stadiums everywhere. And of course, that was written about in 1900 as well by H.G. Wells. But you're absolutely right. They know. They don't want you out really involved in the real world interfacing. They want you fully being wire-headed into this. Yeah, cyberpunks.
They want you on the couch. They want you staring at a glassy box, getting the 40 megahertz frequency pumped in your head so that you just are droned out and you're sitting there doing nothing.
It's admitted that Americans 30 years ago had a higher wavelength. The average American is in a dreamlike daydream state. They're zombies, man. That's why you can't talk to them, and they've had psychological compulsions, psychological suggestions. This is admitted, implanted, that when they hear us talk about the New World Order or global government getting involved, they giggle and get a glassy. That's their pre-program.
These films that we've created here, they
go into the Matrix and deprogram. They're red pills.
It's shock therapy. It's like, boom, here it is. And that's what your films did to me, Alex, is it put me up against the wall and made me...
You were a risk management guy for a big company making a lot of money, and you got deprogrammed, didn't you, Franchi?
Yes, I did.
Now look at you. You have done well, my apprentice.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord John.
We're going to actually have a Lord on soon here on the show. All right. Here's Eve, folks. Now here it talks about how you have value, how you change things, how you have power by one decision you make in the video game, blasting a pirate ship, a pirate spaceship. But when you read the game, it's like your life is now going to have value. And so I started looking at other simulation games. It's all the same. And you have millions of people in some cases with World of Warcraft and all this, and all these Marine Corps games, which the Pentagon admits they're funding to then program you, where they admitted that the simulators in the games are exactly the same as real Predator drones. So now you're blowing up real people on the ground.
I've played games where I'm controlling a part of an elite military squadron, and there's people playing connected on the internet in their own homes. and they're all running around this virtual world.
No, that's the game. World of Warcraft has 3-4 million. There's all these other games. Well,
Call of Duty or one of those games.
Where you torture people and kill them now and kill civilians. And again, it dehumanizes all these simulated murders. That's why folks 50 years ago got scared if they saw simulated murder on TV. Now they don't care if humans are dying, but if they see a dog die simulated, people freak out because the dog still has value. Humans have been dehumanized. Here is the game trying to suck your soul. The game is Eve. Here's the game trying to suck your soul. There's all these men who have addictions, don't even have time with their wife or kids. They quit their jobs to play these games because this is where they have value. This is where they're a starship commander. Instead of in the real world with world government poisoning your water supply, you're in the middle of a real operation. We're fighting for our lives. People are being killed and set up over this. And, oh, no, I don't want to be in the real world. I want to fly around in my little fake spaceship or as a big giant goblin, World of Warcraft. You know, I mean, it's total crap. Here it is.